What's going on, guys? We have a lot to talk about today. We have to talk about Bitcoin's faulting global demand. Sounds very terrible. We also have to talk about Nvidia's upcoming earnings. This is something that the market is clearly watching, clearly keeping an eye on, and it will definitely move the market. We also have another stock that I'm probably going to be watching closer on earnings, and I do think it's a buy here, but it might be a good idea to wait until earnings, wait until the uncertainties. Earnings, whether it's Nvidia, iren, whether it's anybody, can always come out unexpected, could always throw us for a loop. So it is definitely going to be a volatile week, and it has been that way so far. Bitcoin has been in a whipsaw over the last month or so. At the end of July, we were nearly at 70,000. By August 5th, we dipped under $50,000. We had a bunch of Mt. Gox fear, we had Germany fear, retail panic. We were seeing some outflows from the spot Bitcoin ETFs. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. This may in fact be the bottom. I do think that Bitcoin will have already bottomed out before it's announced that Mt. Gox has dispersed all their funds, before it's clear that we are on our way back up, before it's clear that we have bottomed out. It always takes some time until the market can agree that this was in fact the bottom. Let me remind you guys of the $15,000 days. So many people saying we're going to go down to 10K. This might not be the bottom. It took us a long time for us to basically collectively believe, although there's still some people that think, Bitcoin's going to go to zero, going to go to 10K or whatever. They don't understand Bitcoin. But it took us a long time to finally basically collectively agree for the most part that 15K was in fact the bottom for Bitcoin. And while I could be wrong, I'm going to put my head on the line and say that I do think this is the bottom. And it will take a while until we collectively agree, unless I'm wrong, of course. But it'll take a while. It'll take a break to new all-time highs until we finally are like, oh, okay, that 49,000, that was in fact the bottom. That was where the fear was at its max. That was when Mt. Gox was selling. That was when people were scared of what Germany was doing, scared of what USA was doing. People were uncertain about the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Are we still going to end the year with the inflows that we saw? But before I go off on a tangent, let's look at Bitcoin's price, a couple levels on the chart to watch out for. We were seeing an RSI divergence on the shorter time frames as we topped out here, started pulling back, and now we're trying to hold this 58,000 area. This is an important level to watch. If we break 58,000, we are probably heading towards 56,000, the next level. As for the upside, a break of 60,100 I think could send us higher. But look at this pattern we broke. We were in an uptrend. We were consistently using this support, and now we broke it. See the reaction to the market. Now we are trying to hold this level. If this level breaks, we're heading lower. What I really want to see Bitcoin do is reclaim the 50 and the 200 MA. It tested the 50 and failed before finally breaking out of it. Tried to test the 200 as support, and it failed. What I would love to see for Bitcoin is a move back up, a break back over the moving averages, get these moving averages curling back up, giving us that bullish hope, and seeing this golden cross. We might chop around for a little while, especially as we approach the upcoming Fed meeting. Market might keep Bitcoin in a certain range. In my opinion, I do think it would help a lot of people to kind of ignore price. If you're trying to look long term, a lot of people do get shaken out. A lot of people really get their emotions worked up. And to me, Bitcoin is the same Bitcoin it was when it was 15K, it was when it was 10K, it was when it was 60K, and it will be when it's 150K. One Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. There's still only a max of 21 million Bitcoin in the world. There will never be more. The vast majority has already been mined. We're going to be fighting for the last 2 million Bitcoin over the next over 100 years. So if you get really worked up on price, I understand if you're just looking at things short term and you want to get in and get out, I get it. But if you're looking at price and you're so concerned with, oh, Bitcoin's down 4,000, this is just a scam, I definitely think a lot of you have a lot of work to do in terms of learning what Bitcoin really is. Let me know, guys, if you remember the 15 and the 20K days, and does now seem similar in terms of retail sentiment. Do you see a lot of negativity on certain social media apps among all the different YouTubers? And let me know in the comments below. Now, I do have Nvidia earnings coming up after the bell, and they are known for beating their targets. I think out of 10 last earnings, they beat 8 or 9 out of 10. So if they miss this, this will be a big worry. If they beat top and bottom line by 10% or more, well, that's what they've been known to do. Can it cause a spike in the market? Perhaps. But in my opinion, Nvidia is pretty risky here. And I'll say right now, if you're looking at Nvidia on the long term, 5 years out, 10 years out, probably even 3 years out, 2 years out, I think Nvidia is a clear buy. They are growing their revenue massively. Look at their revenue growth. $28 billion is estimated. Let's go to what they've actually gotten so far. 26 billion reported. Let's just go back a few quarters. 13 billion reported. Look at that growth. They've literally doubled their revenue from 13 to about 26 billion in the matter of a few quarters. Let's go back a little farther. Let's go to 2022. This isn't that long ago. $6 billion almost. This is a massive revenue growing company. It might have a high PE, high valuations now, but as they grow their revenue, they will catch up to their valuation. They will grow into it. Am I buying here? No. I do think we need to watch this resistance line. If earnings comes out good, we break above it, gap up. We might continue higher. but we're seeing lower highs. We are way overextended in my opinion. Nvidia has done like a 10x from its bottom in October of 2022. Yeah, it's right around a 10x still, like a 9x. There will be pullbacks, there will be retracements. Compared to Bitcoin, this is very euphoric. Bitcoin right now, in my opinion, is a bit fearful, a bit worrisome. Nvidia, it's like FOMO, euphoria. I do think Nvidia, if it pulls back, it can retrace and test this ascending support, potentially test the $110 area. If we do get a bad earnings, if we get a good earnings, we might run for a little longer. I would be very cautious with Nvidia personally. And when looking at these rate cuts, I do think it'll benefit a lot of the small cap stocks more so than the larger caps. In this large rate hike cycle, we have seen a lot of the large caps do very well, while small caps have been beaten down crap. I do think small caps will have their day. That said, small caps are some of the risky stocks to be in, especially those that are unprofitable. But I do think something like IWM is a great buy here. And as we approach rate cuts, as long as we can achieve a soft landing, as long as the Fed doesn't crash the economy, destroy the economy, I do think stocks will have a very good end of year, especially some of these small caps. TLDR on Nvidia, in my opinion, we're kind of topping out. I could be wrong, of course, but this is just what I see. A stock that has done a 10x in 2 years, a stock that's this far away from its 200 MA, this far away from its trend line, I do think we will see some kind of retracement. And as a side note, we have been seeing a lot of insider selling. I didn't look that deeply into it. It could just be a selling plan in place so that they don't get some kind of allegations, or it could be that they are literally pushing the sell button. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you think about Nvidia. Do you think they're going to beat earnings, miss earnings? How will the market react to earnings, whether good or bad? All right, now I have to talk about this faltering global demand. And on first look, I was like, oh shit, that's not good. The positive here is, and it's actually linked with history. This crypto quant report noted that Bitcoin is now flowing back into US exchanges from international platforms. And this has been historically linked with upward price movements. This research also finds that overall demand for Bitcoin remains somewhat muted. And since April, when Bitcoin was about 70,000, demand has significantly declined, likely contributing to this stagnation. But something also interesting that crypto quant highlights is this low level of profit taking during this last rally. Realized profits have amounted to 536 million, which is considerably lower than the profits seen at earlier market tops this year. This does suggest that the current rally has not yet reached a local top, but there's a warning here. Without a reversal in the declining demand trend, the market may struggle to sustain further price increases. Well, that or BlackRock will just end up with all the Bitcoin over time. It's up to the world to decide. Now let's change pace for a second. Look at iren stock. We'll look at the chart. We also have iren reporting earnings, and I do personally see iren as a buy here. I've showed you guys this long-term pattern before. It's a pretty clear pattern. The market does trade it. The market does use it. And it pointed out how extended we were on our last run. Also, we were getting bearish divergences, among other signs of topping out. Now we're starting to look pretty attractive here. If we get a bad earnings, perhaps we drop this 750 level and head towards 6. We did hit a low of literally right about 6, a flash crash to 6. But you'll see that the RSI was trying to maintain this level while the price was dropping. We're starting to get some divergences here. We're starting to get buyers, starting to get ready for a reversal. A bad earnings could, of course, change things. We do have a level to watch. This was a previous resistance point as well. This roughly 875, 880 area. It was a resistance for us here, as well as back here in 2024 February. You'll notice that iren has broken its downtrend. That doesn't mean it's just up from here. I do think this is going to heavily rely on earnings. One thing that's interesting is this is one miner that's expecting revenue growth. Not many were expecting this, being that this is the first quarter that has the halving in it. But anyways, I do see iren as a buy. Well, it's down here even all the way up to 8, 9, maybe 10 if you're getting a little ballsy. But in my opinion, we aren't going to see iren down at $4. We will sorely miss these prices. We will miss the 280s. We will miss the 1-somethings. And we will never see them again until potentially crypto winter. Now, we also have something else that might be kind of scaring the market a little bit, but this 1.88 billion was actually just a transfer with Binance. The initial alert said that this was an unknown wallet, but Arkham Intelligence found that the address that sent this initial sum and the one that received 30,000 Bitcoin both actually belong to Binance. And it's basically just a transfer of the exchange between its own wallets. Is Binance getting low on Bitcoin? Are they moving crypto from their cold wallet to support the demand? Or are they planning on selling? Let me know what you guys think. And we finally broke our 8-day inflow streak. First day of outflows yesterday, a pretty rough day for Bitcoin. And we did see 127 million in net outflows. But guess what? I bet you could guess if you know what's been going on recently. Ibit didn't post an outflow. Are you surprised? Ibit saw a zero flow, and the largest outflow actually was not from Grayscale. Grayscale only posted an $18 million outflow. The largest outflow was actually ARK. But despite this $127 million in outflow, in the last 8 days before that 8-day streak, we saw about $750 million of buying pressure of inflows. Let me show you one reason why Bitcoin is so attractive. Over time, the incoming supply gets cut in half. We recently went through a halving. We went from 900 Bitcoin coming into the market every day to down to 450, which is roughly around 27 to 29 million per day that the market basically has to eat up. The whole entire world has to eat up 27 to 29 million dollars worth of Bitcoin to basically eat up the daily supply. That is not a lot of money. When the euphoria comes in, when there's hundreds of millions per day of buying pressure, we will quickly see a supply shock. And Bitcoin reserves on exchanges is at something like a 5-year low, 6-year low, numbers we haven't seen since November of 2018, before the last cycle. Over time, the halving will bring less and less Bitcoin into the supply, and the price will go up. It's simple as supply and demand. It's almost too easy. If you follow Bitcoin on the long term, you really can't lose. But let me know how you guys have been feeling lately. Are these some of your favorite times to buy? Do you love times like this? Or do you hate times like this? Some people absolutely hate it. It makes sense for those that are fully invested, that don't have another dime to spare. But you know, times like these do build character. Times like these remind you why you're in something like this. There are huge fluctuations. There will be huge moves down, but there will also be huge moves up. If you fully understand Bitcoin, I do not see how you could be bearish. And even, you know, cycles aside, 4-year cycles aside, we are in the best time to buy. But even if we weren't, do you see the big picture? Do you see that over multiple years, Bitcoin will get to levels that we have never seen and will never go to the levels that we saw in previous markets, in previous cycles? I don't know how to end this video, so I'll just end it right here. Thanks as always for watching, guys. It's your decision whether you're going to, stay in Bitcoin. In the end, the volatility is part of the price you have to pay to ride. You have to be able to handle these 10%, 20%, 30% moves, whether up or down. Crypto is not for everybody. If you have a weak stomach, if you can't handle seeing the money in your funds going up massively, going down massively, if you get a bit squeamish, if you get very emotional, this is not for you. But for everyone else, I know we're going to continue to have great times. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.